The vaccines have injured hundreds of thousands, and we're not really sure how many have been killed by it, but a significant amount. They had to come off the market. There was no choice.
Walk us through what led to the decision of finally getting, stopping the underwriting of American taxpayer for this experimental gene therapy.
Cześć, tu Robert F. Kennedy Jr., wasz sekretarz HHS. W ciągu ostatnich kilku tygodni Barta przejrzała 22 inwestycje w rozwój szczepionek mRNA i zaczęła je anulować. Po przeanalizowaniu naukowych danych i konsultacjach z czołowymi ekspertami z NIH i FDA, HHS stwierdziło, że technologia mRNA niesie więcej ryzyka niż korzyści w przypadku tych wirusów oddechowych. Dlatego po dokładnym przeglądzie Barda rozpoczęła proces rozwiązania tych 22 kontraktów o łącznej wartości nieco poniżej $500 milionów.
What happened is that the data had accumulated to the point where meta-analysis studies could be done. These are very comprehensive analysis, and it virtually came back consistently that there was no benefit to risk ratio for taking a messenger RNA vaccine. In fact, it was more dangerous to take a vaccine than it was to contract COVID-19 and be hospitalized with it. Now, we're now in 2022 that this data started to come out. The side effects for this essentially gene therapy was so enormous and progressive, it was difficult to fathom. And then finally, a few months ago, some of the detailed biochemistry studies started to appear in the literature. And the sudden flood of messenger RNA, it appears irrespective of what the messenger RNA insert is coding for. Just the sheer amount of number of millions of molecules of messenger RNA entering the cell is creating biochemical havoc. It's disrupting protein metabolism. It's interfering with tumor suppressor genes. It's damaging the mitochondria, the powerhouses of the cell. It had to be stopped. It turns out that the manufacturers did not do due diligence to ensure these were safe products before they were released onto the American market. And throughout 2021 to 2024, the drug companies essentially ran the pandemic response. Nobody stood up to them. Nobody questioned them. Judicial Watch, America's first legal, were able to obtain some documents. They didn't want to release it. Pfizer, they wanted a 70-year moratorium on the clinical data from the trials, which from the start showed these never prevented infection, never prevented disease transmission. And there's no good clinical data to ever show it reduced the severity of disease. The CDC in response, I don't know what's wrong with that once fine agency, but they become a supplicant of big pharma. They put out a paper saying, yes, we've saved like 14 million lives, the vaccination program. No, the paper's been torn to shreds by epidemiologists. It was based against a computer model and against an idea where you have the peak and it comes down and then it goes back up again. The vaccines have injured hundreds of thousands, and we're not really sure how many have been killed by it, but a significant amount. They had to come off the market. There was no choice. You want to make America healthy again, it had to be stopped.
Czas Bożego Narodzenia to moment, w którym często dzieci spotykają się ze swoimi dziadkami. Drodzy Państwo, znam niestety bardzo wiele przypadków, w których takie spotkania zakończyły się tragicznie. Zakończyły się odejściem naszych dziadków, babci i uniknijmy tego. Uniknijmy tego poprzez zaszczepienie jak największej liczby osób. Zaszczepienie się przed świętami jest najlepszym prezentem, jaki możemy zrobić na święta swoim bliskim. Sobie i swoim bliskim. Zaufajmy nauce i medycynie. Państwo wiecie najlepiej, jakim dobrodziejstwem jest szczepienie, jakim dobrodziejstwem jest szczepionka. A do wszystkich obywateli, do wszystkich rodaków, żeby w odpowiednim momencie, w odpowiedniej kolejności, bo najpierw mamy medyków, służby mundurowe, nauczycieli, seniorów, żeby zapisywać się do szczepień.